Just want to play a short video, a short audio clip of the soon-to-be ex-chair of the Muslim Conservative Forum. Well, that's if Boris Johnson becomes the leader of the Conservative Party. So just listen to what this guy says. Now, remember, he's talking about a man who's the leader of his party, that he's a member of, and he's been a member of for many, many years. This guy's talking about the leader, or the potential leader of the Conservative Party, Boris Johnson. This is what he says. Just listen to this.
Horrible people who have been popular. Popularity is not the test. The test is this person sufficiently moral to be Prime Minister? And I believe he fails that test.
But MPs would disagree with you, and they think he's certainly the right man to sort out Brexit for this country.
A lot of Germans thought that Hitler was the right man for them.
That's a very shocking comparison to make.
Yes, I'm not saying that Boris Johnson wants to send people to the gas chamber. Clearly he doesn't. He's a buffoon. But he, as far as I'm concerned, has insufficient concern about the nature of truth for me to ever be a member of a party that he leads.
So that was Mr Amin, as I say, soon to be ex-chair of the Conservative Muslim Forum, because if Boris gets to be leader of the Conservative Party, he will lead. The incredible thing about this man is he's compared Boris Johnson, who is a democratic politician, whether you like Boris or not, and I'm no great fan of Boris. I personally think he'll be Prime Minister. Not that I want to be one to boast, but a few years ago I said that we get Brexit. I said that Trump would be president, and I said that Boris would be Prime Minister. Now, I didn't think we'd have to wait this long to get Boris as Prime Minister, but he probably will be. And whether he'll do a good job or not remains to be seen. But why is Mr Amin annoyed with Boris? Well, because Boris had the effrontery to say that women who wear the niqab or the burqa or whatever you call it, where you can't see their faces, you can't see who they are, all you can see is a pair of dark eyes behind literally a slit in a piece of cloth. Boris had the effrontery to say that they look like letterboxes in a newspaper article, and I'd love to know why people don't get what that article was about, because that article was about freedom. Because what Boris was saying very clearly was he would never ban the burqa, and I agree with him on that. I wouldn't ban the burqa either. I think they're awful. I think they're dreadful. I think they're oppressing women. I don't believe women deliberately want to go out in the middle of summer in Saudi Arabia covered from head to foot in a piece of black cloth that absorbs the heat. I don't believe that. And in fact, when we saw what happened in Syria, when the ISIS areas were liberated by progressive Arabs, by the Kurds and the Western-backed non-Islamist forces, the first thing they did was ripped off their headdress and their burqas and rejoiced that they'd been set free from the Islamo-fascists of ISIS who'd been oppressing them, murdering them, no doubt raping some of them. So this man seems to think that Boris is wrong for saying that women should be free, Muslim women should be free to dress how they want to dress, and they shouldn't be forced to cover themselves from head to toe in something that looks akin to wearing 2 or 3 bin bags on a sunny day. If only they realised how ridiculous it looks, maybe they wouldn't do it. It's a great tragedy. Most of these Muslim women are very, very attractive women. Why would they want to dress themselves up in that? They don't want to dress like that. It's their religion and it's their woman-hating husbands that make them do it. But getting back to this man, Mr Amin. It's obviously no relation to Idi Amin, but Mr Amin is calling for Boris's scalp. He would love to see Boris taken out of the race and taken out of this game so that he can't stand to be Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, because he made what he believes to be Islamophobic comments about Muslim women. Of course they weren't. They were quite the opposite. Like I say, go and read the article. If you haven't read the article, it's well worth reading. It's actually a very, very well written article, and it's really saying exactly the opposite of what the critics of Boris are saying. It was not a call to ban the burqa. It was a call for freedom. And on that, we must all cheer Boris on and agree with him. But this man, this man calls Boris, or compares Boris to Adolf Hitler, and then says he's a buffoon because he doesn't send people to the gas chambers. It's a very strange thing to say. But I want to talk about this man, Mr Amin, who, as far as I recall, I need to check this again, but as far as I recall, Mr Amin stood for leadership in the Muslim Council of Britain, unsuccessfully. But Mr Amin was a member of the Muslim Council of Britain. When the Muslim Council of Britain boycotted Holocaust Memorial Day, he's more or less accusing Boris Johnson of being a Nazi. And yet this man was so full, well, not this man, this man's organisation was so full of loathing for the state of Israel and for the Jewish people that live in Israel that they boycotted the Holocaust Memorial Day. And they were shamed and embarrassed into starting going. And if I was organising Holocaust Memorial Day, I'd tell the Muslim Council of Britain to sling the hooks, you're not welcome. And if I was in, which I never will be, but if I had any position of power in the Conservative Party, I would close the Muslim Conservative Forum, or the Forum for Muslims in the Conservative Party, whatever they call themselves, close it down and get shot of them. So if he's going to resign from the Conservative Party, that is probably the best thing that could ever happen to the Conservative Party. Because why do the Conservative Party even have people from an extremist organisation like the Muslim Council of Britain in their party? The Muslim Council of Britain was founded by a Bangladeshi war criminal. It's been controlled and manipulated by the Muslim Brotherhood and by Jamaat al-Islami, Islamist organisations. They have one goal. These Islamist organisations like Jamaat and the Muslim Brotherhood have one goal, and that is to see Sharia law reigning throughout the globe. Now, they're not using bombs and bullets because they don't have to, because stupid, idiotic Western media and idiotic Western governments are giving them everything they want. And it's costing Muslims their freedom in the United Kingdom, and it's costing Muslims their lives in places like Bangladesh and Pakistan and Egypt and Jordan and Syria and Iraq and everywhere else where genuine moderates who want to see this 7th century death cult thrown in the trash can are being persecuted and killed. So why are the BBC giving this man airtime and giving anybody from the Muslim Council of Britain airtime? Why are the governments of Western countries sucking up to these Muslim Brotherhood sponsored organisations? And why does anyone care if Mr Amin resigns from the Conservative Party? In the words of that song, that famous Walt Disney song that was out a few years ago, let him go. I'm not going to sing it. Let him go. Let him go. Let Mr Amin go, if that's what he wants to do. Because he's bringing nothing to the party. And he certainly won't bring a bottle of champagne if Boris wins, because of course champagne would be haram for Mr Amin. We have got to call out these extremists for what they are. And we've got to challenge the media when they give extremists a platform. People call me an extremist. Maybe I am. Maybe I am. But I don't think it's extreme to oppose an extremist ideology. If you're opposing an extremist ideology, that should mean that you're a moderate, right? But that's not really how it works in the topsy-turvy world that we live in today. So let Mr Amin go. Let the Muslim Brotherhood, Jamaat Islami, propped up Muslim Council of Britain go, and stop pandering to them and start treating them like the extremists that they are. And I hope Boris wins the leadership. I hope he becomes Prime Minister, not because I like Boris, but because I want to see people like Mr Amin walk away from mainstream political parties. I wonder will he? I wonder will he honour his word? You see, the people that are the problem are not Boris Johnson and the people who love freedom in this country. The people who are the problems are the people who hate freedom and want to silence freedom, and want to stop freedom of religion, and want to impose Sharia law and blasphemy law in the United Kingdom. It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen because we're not going to let it happen. So Mr Amin, sign your resignation letter, move away from the Conservative Party, join the Labour Party. They will welcome you with open arms because they're run by communists and Islamists. Let's just hope that Boris becomes Prime Minister, gets elected and delivers Brexit. And then we can maybe start looking at getting some real political parties in this country instead of these stooges that are backed by Islamists and infiltrated by Islamists. We've got big problems in the government, big problems in the country. I'll talk more about those in another video. But yeah, Mr Amin, if you want to go, just go. And give us all some peace and quiet. See you all soon.